So where do we find guidance on this? I mean, what are we supposed to do? Just flounder around? Well, no. There are very clear guidelines. And it surprises me sometimes at how many people miss them, you know. I have a particular passion and a particular resource that I go back to so often I can't even imagine, but several times a week at the very least. And it is the 3 chapters in Matthew that are the Sermon on the Mount. You know, it is whomever put that together. I mean, there's no historical proof that there was ever a moment, you know, a Sermon on the Mount, a time when Jesus stood up and did this sermon. But it was the author of Matthew's attempt to put together into one coherent place the teachings of Jesus. And whoever it was did a magnificent job. Because it is clear, it is powerful, it is relentless, and it is infinitely loving. And the problem is that it's become so familiar that we sort of hum along and don't pay any attention to the power that he's calling us to. And all we have to do is look at the Beatitudes, which are sort of, I think of them as kind of a biblical how it works for any of you, if anybody here has the 12-step background that I have. The 12 steps. And to tie them together is, I mean, I don't have time to do that today, but it's fascinating because they tie together perfectly. So we're standing at this crossroads. What do we do? How do we choose? Well, blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Now we've got to imagine where and how this was all happening. You know, we have in our minds the Cecil B. DeMille idea of, you know, practically the entire population of Israel standing around listening to Jesus, you know, already. It's not what Matthew says. Matthew says that seeing the crowds, Jesus took his disciples apart up a hill. Now, metaphysically, we know that up a hill, going up is always rising in consciousness. Rising to a higher dimension. When Jesus says go to your upper room, he means go to that consciousness that sees and understands from the highest possible, from the God place within you, the God perspective. So he takes his closest disciples. Now, you speak differently if you're speaking to a crowd of people, some of whom are there specifically to attack you and to try to trick you into saying something that they can arrest you for. You know, you talk differently there than you do if you're among your closest friends. Yes? You know, so he's among his closest followers. And he doesn't stand and yell at them, he sits down. He sits down. Because the Jewish tradition is that the rabbi the teacher sits, and the students group themselves around him or her. So he sits. And he is talking to these men that he has just assembled from the byways and shores of Israel. You know, that he has seen in them something they do not yet see in themselves. He has seen the Christ light just on the verge of breaking through. He has seen a willingness to hear, and he has called them. And they don't know him from Adam. And yet something, that very thing that he sees in them, calls them to put down their nets, to put down their implements, their hoes and their farming equipment, and follow him. They don't know each other, except for the brothers and so forth. They don't know him, but they're about to learn what this is going to be about. So the first thing he says is, this isn't for the privileged. This isn't, you know, something that we're going to take to the temple and share with the priests. Blessed, and the Jesus Seminar translation uses the word congratulations, which helps to get the shock value of it. Congratulations to the poor in spirit. Well, what kind of a message is congratulations to the poor in spirit? You know, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. But that's the first test at the crossroads, at the Y, at the fork in the road. Are you poor in spirit? At this point where you stand at this fork, are you happy with your life? Are you contented? Do you feel that obedience is serving you well, and that you simply want to continue doing more of what you've been doing? If so, this is your path. This path isn't for everybody. But if you're poor in spirit, that suggests that something isn't working. Something isn't working for you, or you wouldn't have that sense of poverty. Something's missing. And Jesus says, congratulations, because it is that very sense of something missing that will turn you to this path, that will empower you to seek out more of the truth. So congratulations. Blessed are those who mourn. Hello. Blessed are those who mourn. I mean, I just lost my mother, I just lost my, whatever. But it's about that personal sense of mourning. Blessed are those who have a sense of grief. Did you ever just realize that you're just, for no particular outer reason, you're just feeling grief? You're just, I remember, as I said, 12 Steps has been a part of my path for a while now. And I went to a gay AA workshop in New York City years and years ago, 76, I think 77. And I found myself in the wrong workshop. I thought I was going one, and I went into the wrong room. But I was way on the other side, and to get up and go to the door would have attracted attention, and I was still new and traumatized. I couldn't do that, so I stayed there anyway. And the workshop was on grief. And I hadn't, at that point, lost anybody. And I thought, oh, this is going to be a waste of an hour. I don't need... By the end of 45 minutes, I was sobbing. Sobbing. For one thing, I had just quit smoking. Grief? You want grief? I was mourning my closest friend, my support system, my fire, my ring of fire that kept people away. So there's always that sense of mourning, that sense of that something's missing, that there's something, I'm not complete. This life experience is not complete. And you don't have to be down and out to experience that, do you? Very often, very wealthy people, very accomplished people, in outer terms, have that sense of, yeah, but this isn't it. This isn't it. So blessed are you if you have that sense, because you will be comforted. Because your sense is right. There is something missing, and you will receive it, but the only way you can receive it is by realizing that it's missing. God is not going to come and force His good upon us. It's everywhere anyway. Nothing is ever being withheld. There's nothing more for God to give us. Absolutely nothing more. But God is, the Holy Spirit of God, the grace of God, is always trying to help us learn how to claim more of that good. How to channel more of it, how to be more of that good. Not just so that our lives can be more comfortable, although that's what brings most people to unity in the first place. But because we're not here to live comfortable lives. People, if we wanted to be comfortable, we could have stayed in spirit. Without the bodies. Without getting old. Without all the challenges of being human. We didn't come into this so that we could, because this sounds like a lot more fun than hanging out in the realm of spirit. Please. We came because we agreed. We are explorers, all of us. That's why I know people in unity so well, even if I've only met them once or if I meet them for the first time, because we're all explorers. We all said, oh, sure, go into human form and bring more of God into expression. Sounds cool. Sign me up. When do we start? I'll go. Didn't you? You did. You did. And here's the other thing that I've been told about myself, but I've come to believe it's true of you too. We didn't read the instruction book. We didn't. We didn't read the fine print. We just said, oh yeah, sure, I can handle that. And we got down here and we got, what the hell? Oh, gee, this is much more complicated than I thought. We have to go through that process. We forget, and then we remember. If we choose the right road at that fork. We remember. There's something missing. No matter what's going on in my life, this isn't what I'm here for. I'm here for something more than this. Blessed are those who are persecuted. Blessed are you if you feel that this world is not a comfortable place, because it helps you to realize the truth, which is that you're here to change it. You're here to change it. You're not here to escape it. You're here to change it. So we don't escape the shadows and say, I wish other people knew how to escape the shadows. That would be nice. We move through the shadows and we transform them so that not just for us, but for everyone else, the shadows are different than they've been before. The gentleman who was here for the second time, and I hope will come back again, despite what crazy things I'm saying, mentioned the word miracle. Now, have you noticed anything this week? Have you noticed that that word is being used in ways and by people that you would never have dreamed? Newscasters and doctors and scientists and politicians. Something happened in Tucson that is, of course, tragic, and yet, show me the good. Given that it happened, show me the good. And the good is that people are beginning, I heard with my own ears a doctor say, medical science doesn't understand everything. You know, we don't know why she's getting better so fast. Well, do we know why? Because from the minute it happened, she was enfolded in prayer. She was enfolded in our light and our love. And people cared, and people said, we do not accept this. We do not accept this. And it's healing. You know, it's wonderful. It's wonderful to see. But it's not that the fact that there was a shooting, that people died, that human lives were ended. We know, well, I don't want to say there is no death. There is death. I mean, we go through that experience, but it has no reality. It's just a, you know, it's like going through a door. It's just a thing. We go through it. It's not that it doesn't exist. Jesus was pretty clear that he didn't want to do it, but it has no permanence. That was the whole point. You know, we know there's no permanence to the death. So even that heartbreaking 9-year-old girl, you know, I fully believe that she came in. I mean, what a life. I'll be born on September 11th, 2001, the day of shock and horror in the world, and I will leave, and in my leaving, I will make a statement about love and power and service. And she did. I mean, that is a perfectly lived human experience. And of course, it's terribly painful for her parents and for people who loved her. But I've got to say, girl, you did it. You know, you came with a purpose, and you more than fulfilled that purpose. Good show. Wonderful work. You know, would that all of us could get it over within 9 years and, you know, move on to something more interesting. But no, but we're doing it. We're getting it. We're sharing it. So we're at that cross in the road. We're at that Y. We're at that fork. And the choice is ours. And I think the entire world is at that fork right now, don't you? I think that every conflict on the planet is between people who believe passionately that we should be going to the left, that we should be following the obedience path and staying on it, continuing to experience our relationship to God exactly as we always have, condemning and punishing and destroying, if necessary, anyone who disagrees with that. And then the others who are saying, there's got to be more. This cannot be the spiritual purpose. This cannot be the God that I feel in my heart, the God that Jesus taught. You know, and no matter how hard people try to twist Jesus into a proponent of the path to the left, he won't let that happen. He just won't let it happen, because that's not, he didn't come to say, continue to obey the laws, start a new church, that'll be fun, you know, build buildings, design some nice vestments, and, you know, take up collections, and that'll work. He said, learn the truth of who you are. Do what I did. Discover you can do it, and as you discover it, you will do even more than I did, because I was just showing the way. I was just feeling the way myself. We're here to make that choice. We're here to be the creators. And I think that 2011 is going to be an incredible year, full of dramatic opportunities to make that choice. Do we see a punishment from God and rush back to the past and rush back to old traditions, or do we say, show me the good? Let me move through this. Let me not deny the pain or the shadow. Let me move through it. Show me the good. Show me how this can lead me to more of the kingdom, to expressing more of it, to experiencing more of it, to sharing more of it, to opening my heart and just letting it flow through me without a thought in my mind about what it means, who it should go to, or where it's coming from even. Let me just be back